So as we move along through this summer report series, today we're taking a look at the Edmonton Oilers. Ken Holland is now in the helm for the Edmonton Oilers. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe if you haven't already. Let's take a look at the Edmonton Oilers. So yes, the Edmonton Oilers got rid of Peter Chiarelli last season. They brought in Ken Holland, Daryl Cates, and the ownership in Edmonton expect things to change for the Oilers this year. And unfortunately, I don't know how much of a difference they are going to see. They're going to see a different light on this team. They obviously brought in Dave Tippett as the new head coach. They're hoping for big things from the Edmonton Oilers this year. And any team with Connor McDavid has a chance at making the Stanley Cup playoffs. So let's take a look at the Edmonton Oilers here. So they have a shade under $3 million of cap space, so really not much to get anything big done. But they do have Sam Gagner's contract, who will be coming off the books next year, a little over $3 million there. They do have Marcus Granlund, who has to get paid up next year. Hopefully he has a good season for the Oilers. Darnell Nurse has to be re-signed as well. And Mike Smith, who came in on a one-year contract here with the Oilers. So with that, I would think Mike Smith doesn't return. And I think of one of or both of Marcus Granlund or Darnell Nurse do not come back. Now, I think the problem here is salary cap. They need to find a way to move out contracts like Milan Lucic, maybe another contract that we're not thinking of, like a Nugent Hopkins, if they wanted to keep Granlund and Nurse. And I don't think Granlund is an upgrade over Nugent Hopkins. I just don't think that makes sense. So it's probably going to be Granlund, but I think one of those two they're going to decide has to leave. So overall, it's not a terrible group in Edmonton. I think things are going in the right direction. Ken Holland has taken over, and he's hoping to make some improvements to the roster, and this is his chance. So you have on the first line one of the most lethal duos in the NHL in Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid down the middle. And then you have Zach Kassian on the right side. So right there, really good players in Draisaitl and McDavid, and then you throw Kassian in there because you could throw the American Hockey League's fourth line player there. It's really the same. It's no difference at this point. You could get 10 points. I could get 10 points in the NHL with Draisaitl and McDavid on my line. So I would expect Kassian or one of these other players, maybe James Neal gets a shot with that line. Who knows? But taking a look at that second line, you have Alex Chiasson, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and James Neal. And I'm not really sure, honestly, with this. I don't know if James Neal is that good of a player. So, you trade Lucic, but is Neal really an upgrade per se? So we'll have to wait and see. He had a tough season last year. He's been a pretty good player other than last season, but we'll have to wait and see. You have Nugent Hopkins down the middle on that second line. See, this is where, Nugent Hopkins, he's a good player there. And you know what? They have three really solid centers, possibly four if Granlund can turn things around. So Edmonton continues to have good center depth, and we'll see what happens there. Chiasson, I don't think, is a second-line winger. He shouldn't be in the top six for most hockey teams, if not any. At this point, he's more of a good third-line, fourth-line player. So there's definitely a weakness on the wing, and that's a theme here with the Edmonton Oilers. Then you have on the third line, you have Sam Gagner on the wing. Again, he could play center. Marcus Granlund, who is listed as the center, again, he can obviously play center. And Jesse Puljujarvi. So waiting to see what happens with Puljujarvi. He's going to be traded or he's going to leave. I don't think, I think it's best for hockey if Puljujarvi gets moved out of Edmonton. I think if Ken Holland's asking for too much for Puljujarvi, he's going to end up going overseas. And we saw what happened with Gusev. The second he said that, the GM felt a little bit of little fire under him. Maybe he just lets him go back to Europe. We'll see what happens then. And on the fourth line, you have Joakim Nygard, who they just brought in from Europe, so we'll see what happens with Nygaard. Puljujarvi, they re-signed him. He's a big player down the middle, and he was pretty good in the. He would be a good playoff player. He's a good grinder, a defensive player. I think Edmonton's going to need some of that grit in that bottom six. He does that. As well as Josh Archibald, who I think, he's not an NHL player in my opinion, but Edmonton had some problems with the depth on the forward group, so this works. Then you have defense. I'd like Oscar Klefbom. I think he's a really good defenseman. It makes sense. He's on the top pair for the Oilers. But unfortunately, you have Adam Larsson, and I think Larsson at this point is pretty much a done deal. He is not a top four defenseman in the NHL at this point, and he's more of a third pairing guy. It just didn't work out for Adam Larsson. He was a pretty good player when he was with the New Jersey Devils, but that trade will forever be stamped and tattooed into Edmonton as being one of the worst trades of all time. Taylor Hall for Adam Larsson. He just could not live up to that hype, and I unfortunately think that's going to continue this year. And then you look at the second pairing. You have Darnell Nurse and Evan Bouchard. I like this pairing. I think that's a good pairing there for the Edmonton Oilers. I think these guys have, Bouchard has something to prove, especially a new general manager. He's not given this spot. Because of the lack of defense, he gets that opportunity. He needs to take advantage of it. I think it's a pretty good move there for the Oilers. You have Chris Russell and Matt Benning on the third pair. Yeah, not too bad. I don't like Chris Russell, maybe because he's getting paid too much. But Matt Benning is not a bad player, and I think it's decent depth there for the Oilers. They could maybe have added a little bit. I think that would have been good, but at least they don't have Roman Polak on the right side in the top four. Now, take a look at the goaltending. You have Mike Smith, who right now is listed as the starter. I would put him as the starter over Mikko Koskinen, who is the other goaltender for the Edmonton Oilers right now. Mikko Koskinen, that is a brutal contract. That was the nail in the coffin there for Peter Chiarelli. And Mike Smith is a one-year wonder. They're hoping for a one-hit wonder here from Mike Smith. Maybe they could explore the goaltending market next season. You have a guy like Braden Holtby who could be on the market. Could Edmonton make room for him? So these are things that Edmonton may be looking at in the future. And Mike Smith is just a stopgap in between them. We kind of saw that with the New York Islanders, with Robin Leonard trying to bring in either Bobrovsky or Varlamov. That kind of was seen to be a set deal with the Islanders. So this is just a stopgap. Mike Smith staying somewhat close to his family, not moving his family too much from Calgary to Edmonton. He's in the Alberta area. So, not the worst thing for Mike Smith, and it works for the Edmonton Oilers as well. So let me know. What do you guys think of the Edmonton Oilers? Do they make the playoffs? I don't have them making the playoffs this year, but I would not be surprised if they made the playoffs. Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if they won that division. I think San Jose is a better team, but still, I mean, this division is wide open in the Pacific, and there's plenty of room for improvement for the Oilers. The fact that they almost made the playoffs last season was really, remarkable in itself. So we'll have to wait and see. I think they could get into either that second or third spot in the Pacific Division. Calgary's pretty good. Anaheim seems to be on the upswing. And San Jose. So they're going to have some competition there. Obviously, Arizona, made some strides this offseason as well, bringing in a guy like Phil Kessel. So let me know what you guys think of the Edmonton Oilers right now. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe if you haven't already. Please, guys, just give it a thumbs up if you like what's going on here at Goal Line Hockey. And let me know what you guys think of the Edmonton Oilers. Am I wrong for thinking that they won't make the playoffs? Let me know down below. And also, check out the rest of our Summer Report series in the playlist, taking a look at all 31 NHL teams heading into September. So very exciting. And thank you for watching. Have a good day.